Thank you, Ali, Dari, Abdul Wahab, and Khalid for this very insightful panel discussion. The gentlemen will be around in the exhibition area if you guys would like to have a quick chat with them and ask them a few questions. Our next session is an acquisition spotlight, an interview conducted by Rita Mahmoud, the managing editor of ArabNet, who will be talking with Abdullah Al-Mutawwa, co-founder and CEO of Carriage. Help me welcome them on stage. This is going to be difficult. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for joining us today. I'm very excited about this interview personally. Last summer, I was visiting Kuwait, and everybody was talking to me about this new, cool, hip startup called Carriage. And I was saying Abdullah about it, like they were only around for like 2-3 months, and everybody's Carriage. So I tried it out, had an amazing experience with them. I called up Abdullah, I'm like, you guys need to be part of our startup battle. It's taking place next month in Kuwait. Unfortunately, they were very busy, they couldn't make it. But here we are today, a year later, 17 months since inception of Carriage. They have gotten the highest acquisition, like it's the highest return of investment to date in the region. In 15 months, from date of inception until they got acquired for disclosed amount of $100 million. We'll be discussing the acquisition in a bit, but I want to start off first. Abdullah, first, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's my pleasure.
I first want to start off with, where did the idea of Carriage come from?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Carriage first started when I had a restaurant. I initially I wanted to enter into the entrepreneurial lifestyle here in Kuwait, and one of let's say the cost-effective ways to go about that was opening a restaurant. It just made sense at that time, and once I opened the restaurant, I realized that the delivery arm or the delivery branch of a restaurant is quite critical for it. So the easy decision that was made was to join the existing platform market that was there, which was Talabat. We sat down with one of the owners of Talabat at that time, and my question to him was, where can we get the logistics support for the delivery aspect of it? And he told me that we're purely a marketplace. We divert the order from the customer to the restaurant, and the restaurant takes care of the delivery. So an idea just clicked. I thought that there was a gap in the market that I felt, because it's a pain point when you're talking about labor-intensive endeavors, and having drivers and vehicles and maintenance towards that is a huge capital-intensive endeavor. So an idea clicked at that time. I wasn't aware the business model exists worldwide. And after some research, basically, we found that the model does exist, and it has been proven outside of the region, yet it hasn't been implemented in the region. So we got the idea. I sat down with my 3 other co-founders, Mus'ab Al-Mutawwa, Khalid Al-Gabandi, and Jonathan Lau, each working within his expertise, and we just went full steam ahead to develop and basically operate the idea that came up.
I'd like to ask the audience, who here is familiar with Carriage? It's like a lot of show of hands. And do you all, like everybody who uses Carriage, can you show me your hands as well, please? So I look at this here. This is like 17 months.
Alhamdulillah.
How does this feel?
Feels unbelievable. My heart smiled.
Why do you think Carriage became such a success?
First and foremost, alhamdulillah, it's توافيق من رب العالمين. Second is we were just at the right place at the right time. We managed to pay attention to every single detail related to the service that we were providing, down to even the sentence that is said to the customer. We were used to a service level whereby, and I'm just talking about minute stuff, whereby when a driver arrives, he gives a missed call, the customer calls and he gets the order. So these small tweaks here and there helped the customers a lot, helped gain traction and gain the customers a lot. But not just that, we innovated within the space. So we managed to see what were the pain points of the customers and the restaurants. And alhamdulillah, we managed to capitalize on that and build on that down to the T. For example, one of the biggest issues customers had were when they order, it was just, you get the order whenever you get the order. But with us, we provide full transparency over the order process, from the order being placed, down to it being prepared, down to it being collected by the driver, then delivered and live tracked, which was at that time, Carriage is who introduced live tracking, the live tracking feature in the food sector, in Kuwait specifically, and in the GCC. So alhamdulillah, we managed to innovate within the space, and that's actually what made us gain amazing traction and gain a lot of customers right off the bat.
What challenges have you faced, in the past year or so?
I mean, there are a lot of challenges. The guys, Abdul Wahab and Lari and Ali Liznai, they talked about some of the challenges, including talent. One of the biggest challenges was getting the right talent and getting him in the correct position and the correct place. Talent is non-existent in terms of the tech sector here. And specifically when it comes to new languages in terms of coding, we're used to that the tech infrastructure, let's say, has been stagnant and has been stable for quite some time. We haven't seen a lot of innovation in that sense, but we have managed, alhamdulillah, to overcome that by just putting the right people in the right place. Another challenge was to prove, I mean, it's a very capital intensive, as I said, endeavor. And one of the challenges we had was to raise our seed round in order to go full steam ahead. For us, it's a winner takes all, and we wanted to just not hold back in any sense. So the idea of raising a seed round was also new, especially to investors. We sold the idea pre-operations, and alhamdulillah, we managed to have people who were interested in it and decided to invest. So these are some of the challenges, pre-operations, post-operations. I mean, just managing the service level that we were promising the restaurants was one of the toughest challenges. Trying to maintain it when you scale up was also a huge one for us. But alhamdulillah, I think we've got it down to a T.
And I would imagine customer acquisition would have been a challenge in the initial stage as well, because when you launched, Talabat have been in the market for, what, 13, 14 years? By the time, 13 years
Correct.
maybe before you launched.
Yes.
And they already had a large customer base. Was it acquiring new customers, or was that challenging, or signing up restaurants? Was that challenging for you?
The gap in the market that we were talking about, a lot of people perceive delivery as low-end restaurants are restaurants who deliver.
Right.
So we managed to change that mentality by attracting restaurants initially that never delivered before, and only the best in terms of restaurants. So we managed to attract restaurants that people usually have waiting times of around 30 to 45 to an hour waiting time in the restaurant. So we created a buzz in the sense of getting the right restaurants, managing to get the right features in place, and just educating not the customers but the restaurants themselves that delivery doesn't have to be for low-end restaurants, but it's a revenue stream that you guys should be tapping into. Alhamdulillah, we managed to prove that to restaurants. And the initial 18 to 20 restaurants that we launched with are what attracted the rest of the restaurants and acquired customers on our behalf.
During the food tech panel yesterday, one of the challenges a lot of the startups or panelists at the time mentioned was the fact of scaling or expanding to other markets was always a challenge, because whenever you have to go to a new market, you've got to get like licensings and registration, and like it's difficult. Like you come to Kuwait, you need a partner, you need a sponsor, all of those. And you've expanded to quite a few markets in the past year. 4 markets, if I'm not mistaken.
We are in 4 markets right now, and in 2 weeks we're going to be in our 5th, inshallah.
Who's your 5th?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia and your 5th is your 5th. What was the process or the difficulty in expanding to these new markets?
I mean, each market has its own different challenges, but we were very focused and keen on getting local talent in each market. I think that was the most important part of it. Even though the GCC is our backyard, yet each market has a different way of operating and different ins and outs. So one of the most important things we had to do was getting local talent and a local GM who can hire locals in every single country, so that we overcome the learning curve if we were to hire someone from abroad. In terms of bureaucracy, I mean, bureaucracy exists everywhere. It's just there. You just have to understand how to expedite the process. But I'm keen on emphasizing on the point that local talent was our savior in each and every country.
Have you seen customer behavior different in every market? I mean, even if it's all in the GCC, we get an understanding from like a lot of the startups we talk to that consumer behavior is different. Like Kuwait is different than Saudi, which is different than Qatar. It's different than Dubai, for instance. Has that been a challenge from your end?
I mean, consumer behavior in general is quite similar, because in the end it's food, right? People want to eat and need to eat. Actually, it's not a commodity. You're not buying something whatever. You're buying something that's a necessity in life. Maybe not ordering from restaurants is a necessity, but just eating food in general is. So the behavior in and of itself is quite similar, but what was different was purchasing power in different countries. And each country had its challenges. For example, some countries don't use addresses similar to what we use in Kuwait. Rather, they would use locations and pinpointing locations. So in terms of consumer behavior themselves, it's quite similar, but in terms of purchasing power, operations, these were things that we needed to learn and overcome.
In regards to the acquisition, and I think that's what a lot of people want to hear about, I know there's a lot of details that you can't discuss due to an NDA, but what can you share with us in regards to the acquisition itself? What does it mean for Carriage, and how does it affect Carriage today?
It was a long and tedious process, let me just say that. What is disclosed was the cash component of the deal was at 100 million, and this is something that is out there. Things that are related to post cash up front are things that cannot be disclosed. But it was a very interesting process for us, and we positioned ourselves to be an attractive acquisition target. We were trying to find innovative ways whereby we could, let's say, annoy the existing player in the market, and alhamdulillah we have managed to
And you were quite aggressive.
Yeah, you have to be aggressive. I mean, the nice thing is that initially you're a very small team, you're very nimble, you want to pivot a lot, you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. I mean, the way we started is not the way we were 3 months, 6 months, and a year after we operated. You need to pivot and you need to adjust according to feedback and according to the market. So it was quite an interesting journey for us. But one of the other things that I think triggered or helped in positioning ourselves to be an attractive endeavor was innovating within the space that the existing player had. And one of the things we did was provide live tracking, which was very important, very critical for users and for consumers, for restaurants that were already on the other platform. So, and also it was also a sales game. So we were also trying to acquire restaurants from existing platforms. So all these things together, alhamdulillah, managed to position us in a great manner.
Is there anything that's going to change at Carriage due to the acquisition?
Yeah, to the better, inshallah. I mean, one of the things that was very important to us was that we retain management, even though we sold 100% of our shares. For us, as a founders team, and for the whole team in Carriage, I feel like each and every one feels like he's a critical part of the company. So, and it's a young company. I mean, our names are attached to it. Our team members' names are attached to it. We wanted to make sure that we do not just let go of the company easy as that, but rather maintain our promises and expand on our promises, and also expand regionally and inshallah within the Arab world.
Now, a question I've been hearing all over the floor for the past 2 days is, everybody keeps asking me, why Carriage?
The name?
No, not the name. Of why, after only 15 months, would Delivery Hero come in and acquire Carriage for such a large amount of money?
As I said, we positioned ourselves to be in a very, very attractive place. The gap that was there was filled.
You weren't going after it, though.
I mean, in the end, eventually, yeah.
Any
e-commerce.
Did you expect it to happen so soon?
I honestly didn't, but any e-commerce platform that's out there, the end goal is either to IPO or exit. There's no other option. The acquisition just came at a time where we were going for our Series A round. We just launched our first international market, which was Bahrain, and we were going for our Series A round in order to expand both locally and regionally. So we started going into these negotiations when we first started talking to investors, and they just saw that the numbers made sense, our cohorts were amazing, and yeah, it was just very attractive for these guys, just added value to their existing market. And then when you're talking about the MENA region, specifically as it relates to food, you're talking about one of the biggest markets worldwide, not just regionally. So MENA is a very attractive place, not just for the company that acquired Carriage, which is Delivery Hero, but just in general for any food-related companies or endeavors.
Well, you've also recently added another service outside the food area, which was flour delivery.
Correct.
Just got launched 2 weeks ago?
We just soft launched actually 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yes, correct.
Can you share more about this new service, and are you planning on adding additional services? And is this only in Kuwait, or have you done this across all your markets today?
Sure. So Kuwait is an experimental country for us. We understand the market really well. I mean, we're from here, so we really understand the market. The reason why we launched our first vertical, which is flowers, was that we're an urban logistics on-demand company. And what that means is that, generally speaking now, when you order anything online, it takes 3 to 4 days to get your whatever you're ordering. And so there are a couple of points here. Number one, what we're trying to do is we're not going for a million SKUs. We're trying to go for speed rather than quantity. That's number one. Number two, we're bridging the gap between offline and online. So there are multiple existing retail shops, and whether flour related, food related, or just in general, that would love to be part of an online platform that already has network effects and has a customer database. And number three, we wanted to fill the gap of just not having to wait for your deliveries. So when you talk about flowers, for example, existing players, you're talking about certain timings during the day whereby you can get your product. With us, it's on demand. You get it within the hour, if not less. and we're averaging right now within food 42-minute deliveries, which is, inshallah, we're going to be lowering. But just in general, you want to get, people care about speed. And when you want to order something, you want to get it right now. And this is one of the reasons why we did it. The other thing is that the infrastructure exists, our logistics infrastructure exists, our tech infrastructure exists, and we just want to go full on in terms of innovating within every single space that want to deliver. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to be a one-stop shop for anything and everything that can be delivered.
Which basically means you're going to be adding more verticals.
Sure.
Which you're going to be competing with other players in the market.
Absolutely.
So yesterday was Talabat, Flowers. I'm not familiar. There was Kuwait Flowers. Do they don't deliver? Kuwait Flowers is an online place, right?
Kuwait Flowers is
but
the
what
old
about,
name.
So,
it's Bleams, I think now. Flower Bleams, yeah.
Very, Just Clean, for example, in the laundry space.
Correct.
So you're going to be adding more competitors to your list. How do you plan on tackling that? This is a very competitive landscape. Like food alone was very competitive.
Correct.
And now you're adding more to your list.
Correct. I mean, in the end, it's about the service level that you provide. It's about the offerings that you provide. What we provide in terms of tech as a logistics and tech solution, I don't think is provided by anyone else. No one delivers within the hour. No one delivers with less than 45 minutes. And this is something that we're just going full on with. In the end, competition, I think, is healthy. Competition is healthy both for us as Carriage and for other players in the market. And it just keeps each and every single company innovating within the space they're in.
Before I head to the audience for questions, my final question to you would be, what advice would you be giving to up-and-coming startups who are like coming up today or they've got ideas? Because you today are an inspiration, like whether it's Talabat or Carriage or Just Clean, you're inspiring a lot of young minds to enter this field. What tips would you give them for tomorrow?
I mean, one of the most important things is that I think we're in a region of opportunities. There's so many opportunities that haven't been tapped into, and specifically within the tech sector. Everything everything has a tech solution or is trying to be developed with a tech solution internationally. So I think we're underdeveloped. We're underdeveloped in terms of I don't want to say specifically e-commerce platforms, but just in the general tech solutions in general, whether it be in the health sector, whether it be in the entertainment sector, or whatever sector there is. I think there is always room to innovate. And one of the things that I always say is innovate, but try not to replicate what is existent in the current market.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to turn to the audience now if there are any questions.
السلام عليكم.
السلام.
وياك عايشة العنزي من شركة رختر. أنا أول مرة شفت لوجو كارج كان من خلال موقف بالشارع. السائق اللي يوصل الطلبات كان واقف بنص الشارع بس عشان يشيل قطوة من كانت ميتة من نص الشارع ويشيلها ويخليها على صوب. فلما شفت اللوجو على التيشيرت مالته سألت قلت شنو هذه يعني شركة شنو؟ فقالوا لي كارج. فاحترمت شركة كارج حتى قبل لا استخدم الاب واجرب يعني السيرفس هذه. بس حبيت اشارك بهالموقف ويعطيك العافية وبالتوفيق ان شاء الله.
الله يعافيك. مشكورة. That's the first time I've heard a story like that, but thank you very much.
There's a question over there, Jeff.
Good afternoon. It's interesting to know what happens in terms of you as and your co-founders in terms of managerial rights after the acquisition. How much weight did you have to make the decisions of that company to carry on the decisions, the major decisions of the company and the future of the company? Thank you.
Did you get that? Can you please repeat that? It was a bit...
After the acquisition, how much managerial weight did you have, you and your co-founders?
How much control do you have?
We retained full control in terms of management, day-to-day stuff, and yeah, it was very important for us to be able to maintain that and manage, still keep on managing the company. So we retain full management over the whole company.
السلام عليكم.
السلام.
قواك الله. سؤالي بس بعد اذنك انا ماني متاكد تصلح لي ان قبل كم يوم انتم اطلقتوا مثل ما قلتوا اليوم اللي هي خدمه توصيل الزهور وهالامور، لكن بنفس الوقت ان ما خاب ظني انت كذلك بتدش بالصيدله توصيل الامور اللي هي الطبيه اذا انا ماني غلطان، لان تكلموا فيها بتويتر.
ما اسمع والله.
غير الزهور انت ناوي تدش بعد شغلات ثانيه عدل؟ الجروثري اللي هي جمعيات وهم الصيدليات عدل؟
شور اتس
Okay.
down the pipeline yeah.
انزين انا سؤالي لك، احنا من عمر الدنيا نسمع ان وخروا عن التوصيل لوجيستكس وهالامور لانه وايد صعبه، ما تشوف التوسع اللي بتدش فيه لقدام بغض النظر عن وجود الماده اللي بتخدمك او عدم وجودها، بس كتوصيل وكتوسع بهالطريقه يمكن يضرك يرجع عليك بطريقه ان ليتك انت قاعد على الاكل احسن واقل وافضل، وبنفس الوقت اذا تاذن بتدش بهالطريق شلون راح يكون الترتيب؟ هل انتم كشركه معتمدين على نفسكم في فند خارجي؟ شلون بترتبها؟ ومشكور.
البارت الثاني من السؤال ما سمعت عدل، بس بجاوب اول شيء على اول بارت. الجمله ان قاعد توسعون بطريقه سريعه احتمال يضركم، هذه وايد كنت اسمعها بالذات اول ما بلشنا نتوسع بالخليج، بالذات من اصحاب يعني البزنس اونرز جست ان جنرال، ان قضبوا وضعكم، make sure you are stable in the country and then expand. When you're talking about لما تتكلم عن e-commerce platform بشكل عام، اتكلم winner takes all and the first mover advantage. فبالنسبة لنا كان جدا مهم ان احنا نكون first movers بكل ماركت احنا ندشه، ما كنا نبي نعطي مجال حق اي شركة ثانية تدش بنفس المجال وبنفس البزنس موديل اللي احنا كنا قاعد ندش فيه. فسالفة ان احنا نتوسع بمجالات ثانية انا ممكن ما اتفق وياك فيها، والسبب ان انا الانفراستراكشر اللوجستيات اللي موجوده عندي اوريدي موجوده، ووقت الاكل لاوقات معينه، غير عن اوقات مثلا اللي الناس مثلا على سبيل المثال تطلب ورد فيها، غير عن الاوقات اللي الناس تطلب فيها من الصيدليات على سبيل المثال، ان كان ان بندش في الصيدليات او مثلا الجمعيات او اي شيء ممكن يتوصل. فبالعكس هذا شيء ممكن يفيد الاوبتمايزيشن عندي، ممكن يفيد اليو تي ار حسب السايق عندي. ف we're just filling in the gaps whereby we are an optimized operations من الالف للياء. بس السؤال الثاني احنا الحمد لله we managed to become cash flow positive even when we were trying to raise our Series A round. يعني احنا كنا رايحين داشين our Series A round without the need for the cash. فهذه احد يعني الشغلات اللي كانت تساعدنا وايد بالنيغوشيشنز ويا البوتنشل المستثمرين البوتنشل، ان فضل رب العالمين قدرنا ان احنا نكبر بشكل ممتاز وجيد، بحيث ان السيوله كانت موجوده وكان ممكن يساعدنا ان احنا نتوسع بالخليج من غير ما وريز. لكن لما الواحد يكون عنده liquidity اكثر وفلوس اكثر يقدر يصرف اكثر ويكبر بطريقه اسرع.
Thank you very much. Oh, one more? Last one, okay.
Good evening. I have a question just in regards of the penetration to other GCC markets. We all know that in other GCC markets there are available
Sorry, can you move the microphone a bit away from your, so that we can hear you properly?
Yeah, sort of like Fetcher, for instance, in Dubai is kind of the same business model. And how are they going to tackle competition in markets such as Dubai and probably Saudi, which there is the same identical business model that Carriage has?
I'm sorry, did I hear you properly? Are you asking about how they're planning on competing in the other markets such as Dubai? Fetcher.
Fetcher in Dubai has exactly the same business model where it's on demand and it's crowdsourced as well. So how are you planning to tackle the competition in Dubai, for instance?
Fetcher doesn't have the exact same business model as we do have. We're a B2C, even though Fetcher does have a B2C arm to it, but we're a platform market and Fetcher isn't. Fetcher is also concentrated on B2B more so than just commerce in general. And yeah, we operate within the same space, yet we do not compete for the same vendors and or customers. But there are other players that exist in the market that operate within the same business model, specifically in Dubai. You're talking about Uber Eats, you're talking about Deliveroo, you're talking about multiple global brands that have billions in funding and can burn through a lot of money just to grow. But at the same time, and this is something that I just heard Abdul Wahab talk about in Boutiquat, you're talking about global players that have billions of dollars in funding, but what they don't have, which is something that can't be bought with money, is understanding the market and understanding the locality of it, and just touching on the right points and right messages across. So yeah, we're competing in Abu Dhabi right now, and we're winning, alhamdulillah. And I think we can compete in Dubai and manage to corner the market there.
Great, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I know there's a few questions left in the audience, but we're out of time. If anything, Abdullah will be around. You can catch him and ask him in person. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Abdullah. This was very insightful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.